Oh, that's a fuzzy like. Hey guys, it is. I don't know what time is it. Midnight, and we thought we'd come on here and tell you we just got back from Memphis not too long ago, and pretty decent unit that we're going to be able to. If I can have it. See if I can get comfortable here. Pretty decent unit that we're going to be able to have some really good items for you guys. We're wore out, we're tired, but we can't go to sleep, so we thought we'd prop this pillow up here so I can talk to you guys without I don't like going on camera with these iPads. Bugs me to death. See if I can put that right down there. Like that. Maybe that'll work right there. Okay. So here's what we got. We had a really good unit today. Wonder who's awake tonight at this time of the day. Or this time of the night. But we got a really good unit, guys. I was proud of the unit we bought, and you guys are going to love it. Did you guys actually see? Hey, Peaches, you're up. I was getting lonely out here, just tell y'all the truth, and I wanted to talk to y'all, and that's why I called it Bedside Chat with Uncle Jed. So you guys, you never really get to ask me questions because we're always busy with the auction. So tonight, if you got some questions for Uncle Jed on our treasure hunting history, something like that, we'd be glad to try to answer that question and tell you some of the stories that we've had while we've treasure hunted in the past. So the unit we got today, we got home not too long ago. The rest of the unboxing went good. It's more of the same type stuff, Peaches. And it's not, hey Barbara, it's not like super, collectible stuff, the higher price antiques and things like that, but it's really good stuff. You guys are going to really like it. I don't know if the guys are now. I'll just tell you because I don't think there's a lot of guy stuff. Now, when I seen some of the milk glass stuff, I know that I've got a few customers. Yeah, I got some of the customers that really love the milk glass. I've got some of the milk glass in there. Something beautiful, the cake stand and everything. So, now, guys, I'm going to have to start keeping a little bit of this stuff. I'm going to need it for my, crafting everything is a lot of crafting stuff. But I'm going to have to keep some of this stuff, dishes and things like that, for the my new house that I'm getting. So I'm going to have to sort of actually, and I've never really, done that, I don't think. Trying to think if I have or not. But we're getting a new house, and I've got to pretty near have about everything. So some of those items I'm going to keep for the new house. And I'm just wondering how I'm going to do with housekeeping and all that stuff. I guess I'll hire me somebody to come in and do a lot of that stuff because I want to spend a lot of time on the road, spend a lot of time treasure hunting and getting you guys and during the auction and everything, and just pouring a lot of our energy into our work and our children. So just be advised, some of the super nice items I want to keep because I want to have a really nice looking place for the kids and stuff. But you guys, some of the auction adventures that we went on in the past, I know I've had a lot of people ask me before, what's some of the strangest items that you found? Probably not the most morbid item that we found was the ashes of somebody's loved one. And I don't really like to call it morbid because that was somebody's loved one's ashes, and there's nothing really morbid about that. It's just it's sad. It's really sad that somebody's mom, dad, or whatever was left in yeah, somebody's mom, dad, or whatever was left in a storage unit, and the one in trying to think where that is, that U.S. storage unit in Murfreesboro, and they actually had a news story on that, which I thought was pretty cool. What had happened, we had found these boxes, and there's pretty neat looking little boxes, and opened the top of it, and it said Matthew McConaughey. I thought, man, there's some Matthew McConaughey stuff, but it was actually somebody's name that had passed. So I told the manager, I said, I'm not taking these with me. I've done that once before, and you can never get a hold of the people. You can never get a hold of the funeral homes. You can never get a hold of I bought one at Red Dot Storage one time, and wound up leaving the poor guy's ashes on my shelf forever. So you never get a hold of nobody. So I said, I'm not taking these. I said, it's not right for me to take these from the place that they're at. So we left them there with that manager, and this particular manager, she said, now I'm leaving in a week, and she said, I'm going to set these back here, and I'm going to get a hold of the funeral home's name that's on there, and we'll try to get them to the family. So it was about a month later, we saw on the news, Channel 2 News in Nashville, to where they were looking for the families of those ashes, and they still hadn't found them. So the next time we go down we bought a unit maybe a month later at Murfreesboro, and we go down there, and it's a new manager. So I done heard this news story, so I thought I'd mess with her a little bit. You know, Uncle Jed, you think I'd mess with anybody? Really? Do you think I'd cut up and mess with anybody? But I go in, and this little gal sitting there, and I was like, hey there. I've came to claim my family. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I heard on the news you had my family here. She said, oh, good. She said, these things were freaking me out back here. And I said, no. I said, I'm the one that left them here. She said, what? I said, I'm the one that found them. I said, I'm sorry. I said, they freaked me out too. So that was one of the strangest things that as far as that, and then you find, I think that me and India had found a dead cat in one. The piano, I thought was a one of those rolling pianos. What do you call them? That play themselves, player piano. When I looked in the unit, that's back when we used to go by them live, and I thought, man, I've been wanting one of them. You know, put the music rolls in, let it play by itself, and it was it wasn't. It was a regular old piano, and I hate pianos. Are the worst thing to buy. If you ever buy a unit, guys, that got a piano in it, don't buy it. Do not buy it. And but in that unit, we found a dead cat. I mean, it wasn't just a dead cat; it was a dead cat. And I was always the ones that was like really squeamish, and well, Peaches, you remember when I had the cat hair unit, and I was trying to throw up, and I threw up all over the truck and everything. So India was always the one that was he was flat and stiff, and it ain't funny. Don't make me laugh. I'm not supposed to laugh. I'm not supposed to be laughing, but and I'm like, I ain't a touching it. So India, being the tough gal she was, she picked it up and got rid of it. That's like you put out poison for the field mice that comes in, and I'm never the one that's touching them, and I hate to tell that on myself, and but I'm not. And one of my worst fears of a storage unit. One of you guys can guess what my worst fear is. Yeah, that's right, Aegis. What do you guys think my worst fear is of finding in a storage unit? I've got 7 people watching, so we got 7 people that's bored tonight, including myself, and I ain't got nobody to talk to. I mean, everybody else is in bed. No, that's not my worst fear. I done found that. I've done met that fear head on. That's not my worst fear. Guess what my worst fear is? And I'd really hate to find a dead body. I really would. But That's not my worst fear. Well, snake now, a snake. I mean, that's right on up there, Peaches. Because I always wonder, if they leave food in here, and mice gets in there, and snakes gets in there, and I've actually jumped. It being like a fake snake in a box or something. I actually jumped. They used to put this mouse on the computer down there, and they knew where I was going to reach, and they love to see me jump at things like that. But my worst fear, now, and you just think about it. Think about there's so many different things that you can find in a storage unit. So I'm waiting. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. Nope, nope. We're gonna. It's Saturday night, guys, and we ain't got nothing to do. We're in this lonely room here. Uh, so, I came on here under the guise that I was going to tell y'all about the unit today, but I really just wanted to talk to y'all. No, that's not my worst fear. I mean, the dirty diapers aren't. It's something a little more surreal. Man, I got to do something about the black. I look like a football player. No, I'm not scared of spiders. Indy was the one that was scared of spiders, and the other guys. I smack a spider. I don't care if it's a brown recluse or whatever. I just smash it. I don't care. I don't know why I'm not scared of spiders. But I'll give you a hint. Think about this. It could end your life. My biggest fear is going in a storage unit, and this thing I find ends my life. And this is a scary thought, and it's a real thing that could happen. There you go, Peaches. We actually found a hand grenade one time in a unit, and the hand grenade had been like drilled out. So it wasn't dangerous. It wasn't dangerous, but we didn't actually find it till we got home to our building, and I was like picking it up real gently, taking it outside. I can get on the phone and say, "Somebody get over here! We found a live hand grenade," and it had been drilled out at the bottom. But I think about that. That's my worst fear is going in a unit, especially if I've got my children with me or my workers with me, and some World War II veteran, had brought something home like that, and his kids didn't know about it, and it was in his chest, and that sucker was live, or any other type bomb or anything like that, and then you're reaching in a box, and that thing goes off, and it ends your life. So storage unit is not the a thing that is completely safe. I don't guess nothing is, but yeah, that's my biggest fear. That and maybe a gun being in there. And we bought a unit in, I think it was Waverly, Tennessee, and there was a gun that was up on top of something, and it fell off. And that gun was loaded. I mean, it was locked and loaded, ready to roll. So we when it fell off and hit, I thought, man, what if that thing had hit and that bullet had shot me? Or I think Brandon was with me that night at that unit, and that was a great unit. That's where we found them comic books that were just. We made a few $1,000s on that. That was just a fantastic unit. Loved that unit, and I think that was before I started doing online. Really. So that's my worst fear. It is. It is like it is. It's pretty scary. And what the biggest thrills. Brandon is probably somebody that's going to start working with us again. He's just a really good friend. He was a really good worker, and he went to work somewhere else. He worked with us close, I think, to a year. And I tell you what about Brandon. When I had my heart scare the other night, and they put me on some kind of blood pressure pills and all that. I ain't taking that junk. I don't need that junk. I've always hated medicine, and I guess I'll die hating medicine. I took one of those blood pressure pills, and it made me feel awful. I didn't have no energy. I was weak, and they had told me I needed to monitor my blood pressure because it could make my heartbeat go really slow. And you guys know how hyper Uncle Jed. Now I can't be doing the twist and everything if my heart rate's right down there. I know, but I think it was just because of my blood pressure was 200 some over 100 and something. And I think it was just, now y'all gonna fuss on me. Here I am out here by myself and y'all gonna fuss on me. Nag, 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 nag. But I don't like feeling like that. Did you have to get your blood drawn at all to test it? I'll message him back later. Did I have to get my blood drawn? They draw. I tell you what they did. I promise you this. They when you have something like that with your heart, and what had happened is I went in. I was feeling discomfort. I thought it was an anxiety attack. I thought where I hadn't slept, where I hadn't ate right, maybe dehydrated, and they hooked me up to the EKG, and everything was fine. You know, but then the other machine that shows your blood pressure and all that. I told that the nurse was talking at the time, and my heart fluttered. And I said, my heart just fluttered. And by that time, the bell started going off on the machine that usually sits beside your bed. And she said, man, you called that right. And so that's why I had to stay, because it's something the doctor said when that happens, if it don't start back, that it's not compatible with life. This is the way he explained it to me. He said when that happens and if it don't start back, that it's just not. I said, what's that supposed to mean? Not compatible with life. And he's like, you'd be dead. And I think I don't know if Emily was there yet. There was my daughter and stuff. Oh, you was there, wasn't you? That's right. You Peaches heard him say that. That's right. I did. I went live with you guys, and that's a scary thought. So, but you asked me about they draw my blood. Then they're supposed to draw it 3 times at certain intervals. Okay, at certain intervals they draw my blood, and then a little bit later they drawed it again, and then when I went to the room, they drawed it that third time, and hey Bubba, they drawed it that third time, and she said, "Now this is it." I knew they were supposed to draw it 3 times, and then they came back in there a little bit later, and I said, she said, "We're getting this third time, and we'll be done." I said, "Wait a minute, you done did it 3 times," and she said, "Well, I think they did it too close." So I said, "All right, go ahead," and she drawed it again. They wound up drawing my blood 5 times, 5 different times, and it didn't show anything that was happening to my heart or anything like that. They did an arterial. How do you? Somebody pronounce that for me? Spell it out. Arteriogram. And I actually got some good news out of that. I may live to be 150. Y'all guys mind if I sort of lay back a little bit here? I may actually live to be 50 years old. I don't know. They did that arteriogram and they didn't see any blockage, anything wrong with my heart. My cholesterol was only 235, and you're saying only 235, but they said that's not bad at all. You can change your eating habits a little bit, and you should be able to take care of it. Because I think the good cholesterol, the LDL was like 169, and I can't remember the HDL, but overall it made me feel a little better. Yeah, it did. It really did. And tell you what was funny, they I don't take any kind of narcotics or anything. Now, if I have kidney stones or something like that, I don't mind that because kidney stones are awful. But they gave me a narcotic pill because I hadn't slept but a very few hours in so many days, and they said you got to sleep. It's bad on your body. So they said this pill right here now, this pill, if you try to fight it and you don't go to sleep, they said you're going to see things. You're going to you're gonna hallucinate. And I was like, I don't think I want to hallucinate. And she told me all this after she gave it to me because I asked her what it was. She said it's going to help you sleep. She said, but don't fight it because you'll see crazy stuff. And I said, I don't really need that right now. This time of my life, I don't need to be seeing crazy stuff. It was so funny. She was the nicest nurse. Uh, she was what I call a matter of fact nurse. And I told her that I said, you're one of the matter of fact nurses. You ask them anything, and it's a matter of fact. You say it, and you don't smile. And but I'll tell you what. In that 12 hours that that nurse took care of me, me and her became friends. Uh, I mean, she was a straight to the point nurse, and I'd cut up with her about going down and smoking, and she'd say, "No, you ain't going to do that." And I said, "Well, I ain't going to tell you that. I'm just going to go and do it." And she'd say, "You know, you're not supposed to eat or drink anything because they may have to do tests on you." Yeah, did I ask her that? I don't remember that. Peaches was alive then too, but she was super nice because you know the nurse the next morning was like, "You're not eating nothing. You're not doing that," and she was and and I said, well, I've done been eating, drinking Mellow Yellow, and I've been eating some of these chips here, and she said, we're not supposed to be, and I said, boy, I'd like some orange sherbet ice cream, and you know, she brought me 2 cups of orange sherbet ice cream, and I thought, man, that's just super great. People can sense when there's some type of something going on. And nurses, I think nurses are trained to do that. And she was one of the best nurses that I've ever had because that one came in next morning. She wasn't matter of fact, but she was Nurse Ratchet. That's all it is to it. But getting back to that pill, me and Brandon, my buddy Brandon, that's getting back to the end of that story. You know, he came to my rescue. He said, boss man, he said, I heard you in trouble. He said, he said, I heard you in trouble. He said, what do you need me to do? And he's a big old boy. I mean, Brandon's a big old boy, and Brandon loves me, and I love him because you know what he did? He came and he sat up all night with me, all night, and guarded my room. And he said that me and him talked about 2 hours, but when they gave me that pill, and that pill put me to sleep about an hour. And Brandon said, he said, yeah, bub. He said, that 2 hours you asleep. He said, you didn't. He said, you didn't sleep very much. He said, you did all that hollering, hey, and waving your arms around and don't know who you was fighting in your sleep. But he said, you didn't sleep very good. And I don't know if I don't know what it is at nighttime. I wake up and I just scream in the middle of the night and things and call it night terrors or whatever. But my daddy did that. But see, I never was in, he had a reason to. He was in World War II, and he saw a lot of stuff over there. I've never had a reason. I mean, I don't guess, but yeah, he is. Brandon's a good friend. He actually texted me today and made sure everything was all right. He said, "Whatever you need, buddy, you got it." And I've got a lot of good friends, and you know, friends in this world are the friends that, you know, they're not trying to just be there for whatever. They're just there because they love you, and that's a true friend. Uh, and I appreciate it. And I think a lot of you guys are true friends. But anyway, my hospital visit went pretty good. Uh, I told him, I said, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I've got an appointment, and I mean, y'all got to be done. I said, I'm leaving. I'll walk out, and I would have, you know, because I'm just like that. You know what? Is this a girl shirt I got? I got my shower and I'm tired and I'm just getting a little giddy. Like I said, I was wanting to talk to somebody, so you guys ain't talking to me very much, so because I'll ramble on here till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and talk. And I'm trying to think of it's a fancy boy shirt. You know, I had a Jerry has a lap blanket. It was I had that purple shirt on. I actually wore it for 2 days for a coat because I've just got one coat out here and it's got. Well, I messed it up pretty good. It's got stuff on it, and but I put that purple shirt on because that's God's color. I mean, God's color is, I think, is purple, and I wanted him to be draped around me and feel close to him. It just, you know, it's just something, you know. I don't guess it really means anything, but there was it brought up a conversation. There was a girl in one of the restaurants or something that we ate at today, and she said, man, I love that shirt. Yeah, well, yeah, I know that Peaches. I just, but she said, I love that shirt. And I looked at her, I said, you know, that's God's color. I said, that's why I'm wearing this. And it gave me a warm feeling to know that just through my shirt that somebody got to hear about God. And I want to be more like that. I don't want to be a Bible thumper. Lord knows I don't want to be a Bible thumper that just turns people off. And that's what I tried to tell my son, Jeremiah, when he was wanting to get into ministry. I tried to teach him, you can win a lot more people by just being friendly with them and being honest with them. And instead of, just quoting scripture after scripture. Now, there's a time and a season for quoting scriptures. But many times we use every season, summer, fall, winter, spring, and it's just a constant barrage on people, and people get turned off by it. And I think that's what Jesus did a lot. He didn't quote a lot of scriptures except to the Pharisees and the hypocrites. So he just was friends with people. And there's Jesus Christ on here right now, just talking about you, buddy. Yeah, we went and bought a couple pair of jeans. It's bad things is it's been how many days has it been? It's been since the 18th. I don't know what the day is. Today's the 29th, so the 18th to the 29th. 11 days, 12 days. And we've and I told somebody today these 2 weeks, I think I made a post on Facebook. God spoke to me, and He said, I'm not punishing you. I said, all right, God, got you. I got you. I got you, bud. I'm not punishing you. And He said, what punishes us is the actions we take sometimes. A lot of times we blame some of the things we go through, and we blame it on God. The valleys we walk through, the trials we face, the tribulations we face, and it ain't got nothing to do with God. It's our actions that put us in that predicament in the first place. And I see that, and I understand that now. I can understand a lot more things clearer now, because it's almost like I've walked through the wilderness. There's Jesus Christ again. So one of my moderators, man, I hate to have to kick Jesus Christ off my show tonight. Guys, we're going to kick Jesus Christ off the show. Jesus, you're going to have to behave, okay? I mean, I guess you're just kidding, but no, I can't do it either. Hey guys, this is sort of like a slumber party, ain't it? Where's the pillows? This is like a slumber party. Jesus Christ. No, don't do it. Don't kick Jesus Christ off. but, but anyway, that's what God spoke to me about that. It's and then he spoke to me about this is the best one. Yeah, behave, Jesus. I'm fixing to tell a good story on you. Let me see. I'll have to read it to you. And this wasn't nothing I got off of. This wasn't anything that I got off of. Wait a minute, I got to text somebody back real quick here. We're having a slumber party, so that's what we do at a slumber party, guys. We text and we do all this. Just telling somebody we're on YouTube Live. But I want to show y'all something, read y'all something that I hope it helped a lot of people. Okay. It just came to me after we got done eating at this little place right outside of Memphis. The devil came as a snake and destroyed. God came as a man and restored. Did y'all get that? I'm going to say it again. The devil came as a snake and destroyed. God came as a man and restored. Don't pay no attention to that Jesus K. I don't know what he's talking about either. But right now, that's what happens in the Garden of Eden. The devil came as a snake, but then God came as the Son of Man. God came as man, and he restored what the devil has taken. That's a message that God gave me today. You know, the devil is a snake, and the snake is tricky. Just read your Bible over in Genesis. He was like, "You ain't gonna die. You know, eat of that tree over there. You know." And he's just super tricky and he's slick. You know, a lot of times people pictures the devil as a snake, or they picture the devil as somebody dressed in red and with horns and everything like that. But most of the time, the devil is not like that. He don't represent himself like that. Yeah, he is a snake, but he don't represent it, and that way people cannot see. And there are individuals that are snakes. I mean, you've heard people talk. Well, that old snake in the grass. They're actually saying that old devil, because there are some snakes. Man, they can tell you everything. They can convince you of about just anything in this world, just like he did, and when he tricked Eve into eating that fruit in the garden. I mean, he was slick, and she didn't know no better. She knew better, but he was so slick. Yeah, when you're weak and when you're in a bad spot, the devil works on you, and he don't come like in dark clothing and all that stuff you see on TV. He'll come to you as somebody that you might think that thinks the world of you. He'll come to you with somebody that you might think is a super great friend, and convince you that what you're doing's right, even though you know it's wrong. And a lot of people don't see that. I mean, I've known a lot of people in my life. I've known a lot of people in my life, and there has been some people that I've known that, even though they were slick talkers, smooth talkers, that they could convince some people about just anything. And anytime that you convince somebody something that involves destruction, something that involves sin, something that involves carnality or the flesh, and that person, that's how Satan works. It's not through a lot of people, when I was younger, we'd be scared of the people that would go in the woods, the satanic people, and how they do the blood from different things and mark stuff up, and we were really scared of them. But those people were jokes. What I'm scared of mostly is when individual lets the devil work through them. And has the devil ever worked through me? Probably. I mean, probably all of us, and we don't realize it, and we realize it later on. But most of the time, when we realize those things, it's too late. There's things that happen. There's things that take place in our life, and it's just plumb too late to realize it. I mean, once you pour water out on the ground, you can't get down there and get that water back up. You take this pillow right here and take it outside and shake all these feathers out of that pillow. And then you go back and you try to catch all those feathers. It's too late. And you're not going to gather all those feathers. You might catch one or two of them and do a little bit of damage control, but you're not going to catch all them feathers. Ain't no way. And that's the way a lot of times, and I've done that in my life. Peaches, I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine that, hon. But yeah, we was getting bored out here, and you guys, I've probably laughed as much here in the last little bit than I've laughed in a good while with you guys. Y'all make good slumber party buddies. How many of you guys are in the bed right now and you got your pillow right here? You did Peaches. How many's got your pillow in the bed? How many's in the bed right now and you got your pillow, you're on the couch and you got your pillow? You can tell everybody, well, last night, oh, well, thanks a lot being 70. It's cold outside. You can tell everybody, last night uh, we uh, we had a slumber party with Uncle Jed. And I said, what? You had a slumber party with Uncle Jed? And I don't know how many heard what I was planning on doing in the future. And I've wanted to do this a long time. I want to set up like not a convention because it really wouldn't be a convention, but a place where all of us could meet, at a hotel that's got a convention center in it, and maybe get that convention center and maybe actually have an auction there, and then get to meet each other, and maybe do a potluck and everybody get to eat and drink, and wouldn't that be fun? And guys, I know somebody that can handle their legs being crossed like that forever, and I can't. So I'm gonna slumber party and put my pillow back here and talk to you guys just a little bit more. Look at there, I'm getting old. Hey, how you like my haircut? Do I have any scary stories? You really want to make this into a slumber party, Peaches. Does everybody like my haircut? Did y'all notice I got a haircut? It fits me. You know who did that? I cut my own hair. Indy has cut my hair for the last 14, 15 years. And I actually stood in front of that mirror in there. I bought me a new pair of clippers, and I thought, I'm going to try this. If it messes up, I'll just buzz it all off. And so, yeah, but I want to do it somewhere else, Kay. Sort of like a neutral place. And see, I'm looking at my phone again. But I love to do it in a neutral place. A scary story. Yeah, I got a scary story. The last 2 weeks has scared me to death. It has. Las Vegas. There you go. Who said Las Vegas? Viva Las Vegas. Yep. Peaches, there you go. And I think Las Vegas, we actually drove out there. India's dad was out there, was in an accident, and we got to drive out there. And it was pretty cool going through Arizona. Who is it lives in Arizona? All those red, what is all that red mountains and red stuff out there? Red dirt. What do you do with red dirt? You can't plant corn in it, can you? And everywhere we went out there in Las Vegas, just look at that. Look at it. Would you just look at it? But you go in a restaurant out there, they got slot machines. Yeah, that's what it looks like, clay pots, Peaches. We was eating with India's uncle and aunt, and I was like, man, there's slot machines over here. So I was getting up, going over playing the slot machines. But they got slot machines all over the place out there. But no, I don't really know any scary stories. I'll tell you a ghost story. Y'all want to hear a ghost story? A true ghost story? Because I'm pretty good at telling true ghost stories. And it's probably the only ghost that I've ever seen. My sister got killed in 1978. March 10th. Yeah, I do. That got killed in March of 1978. And she was 17 years old. I think I was 15 or 16 at the time. There's a couple years difference in her age. We was pretty close. And what had happened is her and her best friend's boyfriend, was coming home from the next town down in Tennessee about 10 o'clock on a Friday night. And they were going like 100 and some. The guy was driving nuts. I don't know if he was drinking or what, but he came around a curve and he missed the curve, and the little concrete thing that comes down, beside of a bridge. They hit that, went airborne, topped the tree, landed on the other side of the creek, and then flipped backwards in the water because there's some fishermen that found them the next morning with the tars up in the air. So that was my sister and her best friend, and the boy died. So it wasn't long after that I started sneaking smoking. You wouldn't think that. And where we lived at, there was a bathroom. It really wasn't like a separate bathroom. It was like one they had made into this room. But I would go in there and smoke because it had a vent. You know, you set up there. How many ever done that? You blew the smoke up in the vent, and I heard somebody come in the house because I never would do that smoking if anybody was in the house. You know, even blowing it up in the vent. Uh, Even blowing it up in the vent, uh, you know, you could still smell the smoke. So I heard that door open, and the way the bathroom was positioned, say I'm right here, I could look straight. If I open the bathroom door, look straight and see the front door opening. So what I did, I heard somebody come in, and I thought, man, I'm caught smoking. And like I said, nobody was in the house. And I looked through the little keyhole because I don't want to open the door. You know, there's smoke that's going to come out of there. And so I looked through the little keyhole, and all I could see is from the waist down. I could tell it was a girl that had jeans on. So I thought it was one of my other sisters that was coming in. So I quickly, you know, butted out the cigarette and opened the door, went through the house, through the living room, around in the kitchen, didn't see nobody. Now mind this, the door opened, somebody came in, the door never closed, nobody went out. And looked all around the house. Nobody was in the house. Nobody went out of the house. So I got scared. I'm not kidding. I got super scared, and I ran out of the house because there was cold chills that came up all over me because I'd figured out that was my sister coming home. And that's my ghost story, and that's true. I mean, I seen it, you know, with my own eyes, and I think that's the only time I'd ever really seen a ghost. And it was and that scared me. I mean, I don't care if it was my sister. I mean, it scared me. Uh, and there I was, 15 years old, my heart's racing, and I run outside, and I don't think I went back in the house until I think Mama and them had came home, because it was just scary, you know, going through that and then seeing something like that. So I think that's the only ghost that I've ever really seen. But I'll tell you another story that involves my sister. I was dating this little girl, and we went on a hayride. And my sister's buried at a church called Cedar Cross, and buried in the cemetery. And so we was riding this wagon with hay in it, you know, and they stopped at one of her cousin's house. You know, you go in, you get hot chocolate, you know, and maybe some cookies or something. So I knew that cemetery was right over there. Now it's fall time, it's windy outside, there's leaves falling, and you know it's right around Halloween. You know, how much scarier can you get? And I've never been a big fan of going in the cemetery dark. But I guess I was wanting to impress the girl that I was with, and so I walked across the yard. The cemetery was about a football field from this house where my sister's buried. And so I walk across this yard and up the driveway of the church, and I go down in the cemetery where my sister's buried. It's got her picture on it. And guys, get this. I promise you, I'm standing here and I'm looking down at my sister cemetery or tombstone, and I start looking around. You know, I look down, my sister's picture is on there. She's a beautiful girl. Barbara Ann Whitney, guys. I don't guess that name's been uttered in a long time. And big shout out to Barbara in heaven. But anyway, she would have got a kick out of that. But I'm sitting there looking at it, and I get to looking around, and I get to hearing these trees, branches that are rustling, and these leaves are, you know, making their sound as they dance across the cemetery. And there's a few clouds up, and there's a pretty bright moon there, and I get to looking around, and I'm standing here, and I think, what in the thunder am I doing here on a Halloween night or close to a Halloween night, and all this things that just fit right into Halloween night, and the hair starts standing up on my arms, and I take off running, trying to get back to this house where we're having the hayride where we stopped at. And I went a different route. I was going the first time I came, doing the right route. This time I was making a straight line back to that wagon, back to that house, and I didn't know there was a ditch there because it was full of leaves. And so it's a deep ditch. So I'm running, and all of a sudden I'm down in this ditch, and I'm thinking, it's a grave or something. And I come up out of that ditch, and I wasn't no longer running. I was the Flash getting back there. Yeah. So that wasn't really a ghost story, but it was a story that scared me to death. I love you too, Randy Allen Sloan. I'm having a slumber party. Oh, I got a lot of good stories of my childhood. I'll tell y'all another story. There ain't no problem, Nathan. I ain't got no problem, buddy. We're having a slumber party. You can join us. I was going through a lot and didn't have a lot of time to talk. And sometimes when people get mad, they say things, and don't bother me because I know deep down inside they're still my friend. And I let a lot of things get to me sometimes, but most of the time I let things just run off my back. It ain't no big deal. None at all, buddy. All square. But I've got quite a few stories about different things that's happened in my life. And a lot of you guys don't know a lot about my history. But I can remember one time my sister had married a guy. Now, get this. He had killed somebody in a church and spent several years in a prison. And she met him and up and married him. Married somebody that had shot somebody in a church. Now, I don't know if there's any difference shooting somebody anywhere else, but you believe in Jesus Christ. Yeah, I got to believe him. He lives right inside of here. Where was that? Oh, she marries this guy. And mom and daddy's like, what's going on? But daddy didn't like it too good. Hey, daddy didn't like it too good, but I can remember daddy, them pulling up, my daddy and my sister and this guy. His name was Junior. That's all right, bud. So I'm sitting across the road because my dad and this guy got in an argument, and I'm sitting across the road, and mom was there beside me. I'm a little child. I'm probably 5, 6, 7 years old, maybe 5 years old, something like that. This guy spins my dad around, pulls out a gun from his hip pocket or somewhere. I don't remember exactly. All I know, he spun my daddy around and hit him right square across the head. And my daddy was a pretty big man. And my daddy went down on the ground, and I can remember as a child seeing my daddy. He had a big belly, and I can remember seeing him being down on the ground. My sister and her new husband got in a vehicle, and they left. And I can remember looking at my mama saying, "Is Daddy dead?" Now, I thought back on that many times, and I thought, there's no way in the world that a 5 or 6 year old should have to witness something like that, and to look up at his mama and say, "Is Daddy dead?" So, and a lot of you wonder why I try to help kids and make sure kids don't go hungry, things like that. It's a lot of the things that happened in my childhood. I think that God was let me learn from those things. And it seems like, for whatever reason, sometimes I get drained. When you do things, sometimes you just get completely. Granny Shipley and your mother. I'm trying to see who that is I'm talking to. Granny Shipley and your mother could tell. We were kin to some Shipleys. My mammy was a Shipley before she became a Whitney. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, a lot of times it builds character in us. And my sister told me something the other day. Uh, she called me on the phone, and I don't get to talk to her a whole lot. Uh, she lives in another county over, and I just ain't took time to visit. I need to, but she called me on the phone. Oh, I got you. I got you. Uh, she called me on the phone, and she said, Jerry, she said, I told somebody the other day, there was 9 of us kids, 10 at one time, and the baby died, and I was the 9th kid, I was the baby. She said, even as a kid, even as a kid, I can't never remember you doing very much bad stuff. And I never thought of it. And this is coming, my sister, she said that she's telling somebody else that. And she said, you don't deserve some of the things that's happened to you. And I think I do deserve some of them. Because like I said, it's not God that punishes you, sometimes it's your action. So I just got to thinking about that, and I can remember another time. I've got a end to this story. I've got a reason for telling this. It's not to toot my own horn or anything like that. Like some people think that might be watching. Boo hoo. But my brother-in-law had shot himself in this house, 41 years old. And after they moved out, or my sister and them had moved out, my brother, who was really a bad alcoholic and bad on drugs and stuff, him and his family bought that house. And one night we got a call. Him and his wife had been into it, and me and Marvin B. Wood, we got a call to come up there and try to talk to him. He was being wild. I think he'd done ran through the patio door and busted glass all over the place. And now this was a scary night. This was a scary night. I mean, truly scary. I'm trying to remember because this is the first time I've thought of that in a long time. But my brother was up there and he was just wild. And Marvin B was telling him, you can be like Jerry. And I don't like people using that, but he said, you can be like Jerry. And he looked around at me and he said, but you've always been different. You've always been different. And I hated that he thought that because it's what we make of life. But I'll tell you something else that happened that night. There is such a thing as, you talk about ghosts, I believe there's such a thing as demon possession. There was a suicide demon in that house that killed a suicide demon in that house. What do you mean, don't do it? I'm telling a story, Christy. Hush a minute. There was a suicide demon in that house that had got a hold of my brother because he looked at Marvy B. What in the thunder are you talking about? What am I doing? I'm trying to tell a story here. But my brother looked at Marvy B. and he started talking with this awful, awful voice. I mean, almost like a growling voice. And then it became, I remember my brother-in-law, how he talked. It was like my brother-in-law was talking. And that's when I really got, even though I was in church, I was a preacher, I became afraid that night because he was there. I mean, he had that suicidal demon and that was real. And Marvin B. started praying. That's the first time that, I'd heard Marvin B. pray a lot. He was my pastor. But that was the first time that man took control of that room in the name of Jesus. And that night, my brother wound up being okay. And I was too scared to pray. And Christy, I don't know what you're talking about. Please don't do it. I mean, my brother wouldn't care for me telling that story a bit. I don't get it. We're just having a slumber party here, and we're sharing things with each other. But that night, like I said, I didn't have no faith to pray. I didn't have none, because that scared me to death. It's like watching one of those Exorcist movies or something like that. And it's completely scary. And but I believe there's such a thing as demons that get into people and cause them to do cause them to do crazy things. Uh, but and I've seen it several times. I actually went to, there was a girl that she had like, I don't think it was cerebral palsy, but she was sort of crippled up. And I always knew her from church, but her mom was having a lot of trouble out of her. Now I'm not going to name no names here, not none at all. But me and Timmy Sloan, I'll name Timmy Sloan. Timmy Sloan was a buddy of mine, preacher buddy of mine, and her mom had called us up there to try to pray for her. And I'm not kidding, guys. This little girl, she wasn't a little girl. She was like, she was older than me actually, and we went in to pray for her and try to help her and talk to her and stuff. And now that was the night that I think there was a demon that was really involved in that situation. And I'll tell you what happened. She looked at me, guys, and she said, and it's not funny because it wasn't funny at the time, but she looked at me and she said, "You want to do it in here or you want to do it in the bedroom?" And Jimmy Sloan, bam, he's out that door. That night, I had faith. That night I had faith. I really did. It was man, I was on fire for God. And Timmy Sloan, I'm not saying he went on fire for God, but it scared him to death. He was out the door, and we prayed and I think everything worked out all right. And I got outside and I was like, "Brother Timmy, why did you leave me there by myself?" He said, "Did you hear what she said?" And I was like, "Yeah, I heard what she said." And I said, "I rebuked her in the name of Jesus." And because when you get to talk about Jesus, and that's what got it riled up. I mean, that's really what got, and it wasn't the girl, bless her heart, and but it got riled up. And when I was in the ministry, a lot of times I had things like that happen, and you can watch these television evangelists and things like that, and you think that man, I hear something buzzing. Man, demons may be coming here after me. I may have to call somebody to get out here and help me out. But I think back a lot of times, and you think about these television evangelists telling these stories. Now, guys, these stories are true. They really happened, and whether it was this particular girl acting like that, and I don't think that night my brother was acting like that, but demon possession is a real thing. Everyone needs to be aware, because I think Paul talked about if we could actually see the spiritual wickedness in high places, and if we could actually see that, a lot of times we can't see that with our carnal eye. I mean, sometimes you can see it in the behavior of people and things like that, but a lot of times, if we could actually see that, it scares us to death, because I'm terrified sometimes. I'm a big fraidy cat sometimes when it comes to ghosts and goblins and things like that. But I'll tell you a happy story. And this is a true story. You've heard all the tales about healings and things like that. So I've talked about demons a little bit. You're finding out a little bit more about Uncle Jed. And that's why I've got to go back to preaching sometimes, because that's what God wants me to do. I probably didn't do that good a job last time, so he's wanting me to try it again. But we were setting up a tent. We were supposed to have a bunch of people. There you go, okay. And you know it's more predominant. It's more predominant, and I'm fixing to tell you a good angel story. It's more predominant in Catholic churches. And a lot of people put down Catholic churches for this reason. I'll tell you what, there ain't no better people than the Catholic people. I go and I'm fixing to do another benefit auction for them too, and there's no better people than the Catholic people. They are friendly people, they're nice people, but you hear more about the demon possession in the Catholic church. But here's the story. We're supposed to set this tent up, and nobody showed up hardly to set it up, so it was having a tent revival, and we had to, when we first went over, Mark B had told me, he said, you go and you tell the people that rent that house that we got permission from the landlord to set up in their field beside of their yard. And so I go and knock on the door, and this guy comes to the door, and he's got like a snake earring coming down, and I think, if I remember right, he's got a tattoo coming down here, and and you talking about thinking you're in that movie Deliverance. Yes, Pentecostal church. You think you're in that movie Deliverance, and I'm thinking, oh no, because it wasn't on a real good side of town. But you know, he wound up being really nice, and I met his wife, and I told him, I said, you guys, when we start, we're gonna have tent revival here, and we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have some singing. Y'all come on over. And if I remember right, I'm not for sure, because a lot of times you tell these stories that your memory doesn't, and I don't mean to not tell the truth, so I'm trying to remember the best I can, but I think they helped us set the tent up, and we were preaching over one night now, and we believed in, laying hands on people and praying for people, and this little girl, this man's wife, she came up and asked us to pray for her, and she was deaf in one of her ears, and she was fixing to have surgery to get a tube put in there or something like that. And usually I'm not one that is really a firm believer in just everybody that waves their hand around that they're healing people, and I sort of I steer clear of that a lot. But that night, she told me, I mean, she had faith, and wasn't nothing I done. I started praying for her hearing, and she scared me because she started screaming that she could hear out of that ear. And she got up and told everybody that she wasn't going to have tubes put in her ear. That I think she hadn't heard out of that ear, and there was some kind of infection or something that caused her. I can't remember exactly, but she heard out of that ear that night. And I know my preaching wasn't that bad to open up, or my singing might have been that bad to open up her ears, but that's how God does things sometimes. And I think back on those things, and those type of things I believe in. I don't know if you guys believe in that or not. And a lot of times people will say, well, God can't just heal this one or heal that one. And I know the answer to that, why he heals some and why he doesn't heal others. And if you'll think about it, think of yourself up in, say, you're in a big city, and you're going down an alley, and all you can see is skyscrapers all around you. Everything's blocked, okay? That's what we see when we're walking this life. We can't see the path and the plans. Can I get an amen? There you go. We can't see the past and the plans of how all these streets go. We don't know. We have to actually walk those streets. We actually have to walk those avenues to see what it's all about. But God's like that airplane that's flying over that city. He sees all the directions. He sees all the plans. You can see all the streets and everything, just like looking on Google Earth. That's the way God is. He sees everything. We're sort of like down here where they dropped that little man on Google Earth. We can't see things, and so a lot of times people wonder why this one gets healed and that one don't get healed, because we're seeing the skyscrapers, we're seeing the buildings. God's up here, and he's seeing all the things that things are going to affect, how things are going to go, how he's got it designed, and we can't understand that sometimes because we think with such a very small mind. And what are y'all talking about puking? Are we getting back into the cat stuff? Who was it today on the way to Memphis that asked me, was I going to puke? Y'all talking about demons now. Y'all going to have to quit talking about demons. Because I'm out here in this motel room alone, and I know I prayed and talked to God, and I ain't scared, but I'd hate to have one of them night terrors tonight. And wake up and see this big black figure standing around or something. But like I said, the angel stories are oh, you did, Peaches. And I'm going to tell you something else that happened to me today. There was a guy that was the manager, Devin. And I don't know, Devin may be watching. I told him that I think I told him that we did YouTube. But we had to go up and get some boxes. Okay, Kyle. I'm glad to see me okay too. But I had to go get some boxes because we had some loose stuff. And so we went up there and got boxes. And some way or another, me and him got to talking. It's almost like he had the kindest voice. He was an African American gentleman. He's probably in his 30s, maybe 40s. And for some reason, he had the kindest voice, almost like that of an angel. And he sensed something in my spirit that was wrong. And he started talking to me. Said something like, hope everything goes right, or something. And I brought up the conversation about something. I made probably a smart aleck remark of, things couldn't get worse, or, something like that to that effect. A carnal thought. And he said, man, he said, just trust in the Lord. And when I first saw this man, when we got there and we paid for the unit, I didn't think nothing about him being so godly. And he started witnessing to me. He started preaching to me right there at the storage unit. And he's telling me some of his history, how that he was raised. He got took away from his mama. And we're talking about down in the Memphis area. He got took away from his mama. Oh, Kyle, appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, he said he got took away from his mama. His grandma raised him. And he said he had a dad that was on drugs real bad. That was in jail right there. He said, right now. And he said, what would happen is, he said, me and my mama, we would enable him because he would want to take something. And he said, my mama, that was her son, she loved him. She would go on the very worst side of Memphis down there and get him something to relieve him. And you guys know what I'm talking about. And he didn't want his mama doing that. He said, so I'd go over and do it. And he said, I was young age when, his daddy started all this stuff. And he said, I finally told Mama, I said, we got to stop doing that. We can't keep doing that. We can't go get him every time he's in jail and bail him out. God's putting him in these places for a reason. We can't do it. We're out of the great grace of God. I forget how he put it, but it was so eloquent. And he was such a good speaker. And I'm thinking, man, here you are, a manager at a extra space, whichever storage unit it was. And he was, I could feel his good spirit. And he told me, he said, I'm going to be praying for you. And usually you don't have these conversations with a storage manager. It's bam, 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 or something like that. And you're in and out of there. And he said, I'm going to be praying for you. He got up and he followed me. I was going through the side door to get back to the climate controls unit, and he got up and followed me. And it was just like an angel. Somebody said something about they like hearing the stories of angels. It was just like an angel followed me. And then I went in to get my deposit. After we cleaned out the unit, you leave a deposit. And there was something about him. And I think God sometimes puts people in a line of eyesight or in our way for reasons. And we went all the way to Memphis, Tennessee, not just to get a storage unit, but in our path. Yeah, okay, I couldn't think of that word. To get a lesson from God. That's ever how many miles it is, 600 miles round trip. And we did get a good unit, but we went all that way to get a blessing from God and to get a lesson from God. Because I was having a little low, I guess he sensed that because it's not a hard thing for me to just break out crying. For absolutely no reason. Well, probably a reason, but it's not hard. And I think maybe I just sensing his goodness, and then when he was telling me that, guys, I felt a tear coming down my eye, roll down my cheek. And like I said, I was going through a little low period today, and that lifted me up. It did. So I've rambled. How long have I rambled? You got to be kidding me. I have rambled for 70 minutes. How do you guys sit here and listen to me for 70 minutes? Yeah, it does. And, I've talked to God tonight some more because, even after I talked to him the other morning and had a breakthrough, uh, when you have breakthroughs, it don't mean you're just going to stay right on top of the mountain and that everything's going to be hunky-dory. You have to try to be continually in prayer, continually talking to him, because the devil can slip in there. Yeah, we're having a slumber. The devil can slip in there and give you thoughts and there's certain thoughts that can enter my mind right now, and it makes me sad. There's certain memories that can, just like now, that can just cross my mind. And it makes me sad. And I can't control that. Oh, can I get closer to the speaker? Uh-oh. The slumber party begins, guys. We got to get just a little bit closer. Y'all like my pajamas? They're Bart Simpson. My neighbor, let me show y'all my pajamas there. My neighbor, when I was in the hospital, because I was over there and I didn't have anything, and he said, "I'll be right back." And I said, "Where you going?" He said, "I'm going to Walmart." I know that, Peaches. So, and that's what I'm gonna have to learn to do. And Bart fits me, but I'm learning to do that. But God's got a plan. Is that much better? I always think about that. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. You're welcome, Barbara. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. You can hear me better? What is your pajamas, Bubba's? Or Stevie from Family Guy? Stewie from Family Guy. And I hate to admit that. I hate that show, but I love that show. My heart just fluttered. Incompatible with life. That's crazy. That's what got me in the hospital the other night. But there's Brother John T. Carter on there. And I want to give a big shout out to John T. John T. Helped me a lot the other night. I was going through a rough spell, and he called, and and that's the thing about John T. It don't matter what time of night it is. If John T. thinks that, all right, take a deep breath. If John T. Thinks you're in need and you're in trouble, he called and talked to me a long time the other night, and we really didn't talk about anything in particular. He prayed with me, and John T. was just there being a friend, and that means a lot. And John T. if he was a real friend, he'd come out here and jump up in this bed with me. We'll have a real slumber party. Yeah, we did. We talked about Jesus and John T. And I don't even remember. We talked forever, I think. So I don't remember what. I'd be afraid to say what we talked about because we talked forever about. You snore. We're not going to sleep, John T. When you have a slumber party, don't sleep. Good night. But I want to tell you guys something. Till 2:30 or so. What time is it? I don't know what time it is. I need to actually be trying to get some sleep. It's just hard to sleep. But I want to tell, don't jump. You might hurt yourselves. John T. Oh, it's just 1:15. We got plenty of time. But if I tell you something, and if I'm on, a lot of times I want to explain something about the Uncle Jed show. there's a lot of times that I'm in the character of Uncle Jed, and there's a reason for that. You know, I go on and I cut up, and it's a show. It is. It's to make you guys feel better. It's to entertain you, and it's to let you have enjoyment in your life. But I want to tell you something. I want to tell you one thing. I want everybody to listen to me real clear. When I get serious, and when I do have tears in my eyes, they ain't crocodile tears. They the real thing, because it's coming from my heart. And I don't get on there and boo-hoo and things to you guys to try to get any kind of pity, try to get somebody to feel sorry for me. It comes from my heart, and I can't help it. And we've been doing auctions before, and I start telling you a story, or I read something that one of you guys write, and it brings tears to my eyes. And I want you guys to know, there ain't nothing fake in that. Now, there's a lot of fake in Uncle Jed when I'm talking and I'm going on, but when I get serious, there ain't nothing fake in that. Because I know you guys love me. I don't have to do anything fake to get you to like me, because I love each and every one of you. So when I'm telling you stories like this and stuff, I'm hoping it's helping somebody. And when you see me cry, you know that I'm human. And I know that you guys pray for me, that you care about me. So let's get back to the storage units. I got to tell y'all a few more stories because that's what this was supposed to have been about, besides being a slumber party, and I was lonely out here because John T won't come out and visit me. What kind of preacher are you, John T? You got your buddy out here that's in need, and you won't even come out here and have a slumber party with me. So what's up with that, preacher man? I mess with John T a lot. He knows I do. And you know the first one I called after I prayed through? John T. Well, come on out here, John T. I'll let you practice on me. I'll either be like, boo, or amen. Makes me think. Let me tell y'all, when I pastored a little underground church out here, John T, I don't know if you remember, it's where Kathleen Sykes and them had it out there, but I was one of the first ones in that little church. And Timmy Sloan, one of my preaching buddies, he was up preaching, you know, and he's struggling, and he's having, there ain't nothing no worse than a preacher getting up and spitting cotton and not knowing what to say. There it is, Full Gospel House of Prayer, not knowing what to say. And John T, I'm sure you've been there, and you feel so dumb and you feel so small, and you can't get down from that pulpit quick enough. But Timmy had a problem. Timmy really had a problem. My dad, who never went to church nowhere hardly in his life, except maybe when he was a kid, he went to Missionary Baptist Church. He came to my church. That's the only church he wanted to come to. And Daddy was at one time was an alcoholic and strong drinker, strong cusser, strong fighter, you name it. But my daddy would come back there, and my daddy, he didn't smoke or anything, but he chewed tobacco. So Daddy would have him a spit cup there back on I can see him sitting there right now, and I miss my daddy. Timmy would be up preaching, and Daddy would sit back there because he loved to aggravate Timmy, and Daddy didn't understand about churches and everything, but Daddy would sit back there and make faces at Timmy, and I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. But Timmy came to me and said, Jerry, he said, Jerry, he said, you're going to have your daddy to quit making faces at me. I said, what do you mean he's making faces? He said, he's back here sticking his tongue out. It's like a little kid tattletelling. I said, for one thing, Timmy, I may be the pastor of this church, but that's my daddy, and I don't tell my daddy what to do. Because you got to obey your parents to live long upon this earth, and I want to live long upon this earth. Not just because the Bible says so, because I say something to my daddy, I may not live long upon this earth. He said, I'm just going to shut my eyes or something and not look back there at him. But Daddy loved Timmy. He was doing it just to to lighten up Timmy. I don't know. It might have been God having him do it, sort of like tell Timmy to lighten up a little bit. But guys, I'm gonna have to get off here and try to get me some sleep. How can you pray for me? I'm 47. I have 7 kids with 5 different dads, and I'm about to get evicted from my Section 8. How can you pray for me? I'm 47. I have 7 kids with 5 different dads. What's your real name, Cluster? Talk to me, Cluster. Tell me what your real name is. Shanika? You know, that's a pretty name. And you're only 47 years old? Shanika, I'm 57 years old. And I got 10 kids. And they had different mothers too. And you're about to get evicted. You know, Shanika, it don't matter why you're in that position. And a lot of people will say, you know, well, she's got Section 8. She shouldn't be in that position. Her actions has brought this on there. But I want to tell you something. I don't know you. And I don't even know if you're telling me the truth. I don't even know if you're poking fun at me. And I don't really know what your problems are. But we got people that's going to pray. And I'll pray with you live right here. But you got to listen to me. Will you listen to me, hon? We walk through valleys sometimes. We stare at darkness. And right now, hon, you're staring at some darkness. You're having a rough time. And I'm not one of those people that believe in name it and claim it and all that, hon. But listen to me. Listen to me, okay? You got to talk to God. You can talk to Uncle Jed and other people till you blue in the face. But honey, you got to talk to God. And we're going to pray for you. But I want you to pray too. Okay? We're going to pray that whatever your problem is, that God will take care of it. Okay, hon? Because there's people that love you. I don't know you, never met you. Like I said, I don't know what your exact situation is, but I'm going to pray for you, okay, hon? God, you know why we got on here tonight. Because we needed friends to talk to. And my friends on here, Lord, they've lifted me up. And you know, it actually feels really good talking to you a lot more than I have, God. It really does. But there's this little gal on here. She don't think much of herself just by what she typed in there. But there ain't no shame in nothing that what she said about having 7 kids, living in Section 8. There ain't no shame in none of that. Because you love her. And listen, Shanika, when I'm talking to God, He loves you as much as He loves that millionaire. As much as He loves some of your friends that's doing better and that's successful that you watch. He loves you just as much. Whether you got 1 kid, 10 kids, whether by 1 daddy, 20 daddies, it don't matter with Him. So God, let her realize this and let her know that you love her and that you're a friend to her and that she can talk to you better than she can talk to that neighbor, better than she can talk to anybody. She can talk to you, and you're going to take care of a problem. God, we believe that it's not going to be 5 days from now, 10 days from now, but we believe that you're going to take care of it tomorrow. Maybe even tonight, God. You're going to take care of this young lady. And those babies she got, God, I don't know their ages, but you do. I believe you're watching over them. And I believe this girl right here and those kids, that there can be things placed in their heart tonight that causes them to make a difference in this life, that causes them to make a difference in maybe the people they go to school with, their teachers. So we ask that you touch her, and most of all tonight, just show her that she's loved. Send somebody to her. Let somebody call her on the phone, and just let her know she's loved, and we'll be thankful for it. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, girl. We hope, we hope that you listen to that. Shanika, did you, and I hope I'm not butchering her name, hon. But did you talk to God? Talk to me, hon. Did you talk to God? Because sometimes when we talk to him, we don't feel like we got anywhere. I mean, we get done talking to him and we feel like we're still in that rut. But believe me, he's working on it. Honey, he's working on it right now. And guys, that's what it's all about right there. That's what God's called me to do. And that's another example of it. And right now I'm worried about this. She's not answering me back. Anyway, girl, you subscribe to her channel, okay? Because we got a lot of good people on here. I mean, good people. You subscribe to her channel. And I picture her down on her knees still praying. That's why she's not answering back. I believe she's having a major talk with God, and we don't matter right now, guys. John T, and I know you was praying too with me there, buddy. I told John T last night, I said, we're going to make some pretty decent prayer warriors together. For where there is one or two gathered in my name, I am in the midst. Peaches, they very might well have been a troll, and that's what I said to start with. But even though they was a troll, they still had a soul. And it might have actually, whatever their situation was, they might have been needing prayer anyway. And who knows? They may have got touched. I mean, it might have been a guy. It might have been somebody that really, really are in need. Like I said, they might have been a troll, but they still got a soul. All right, guys. Peaches, I wasn't getting on to you, honey. I was just explaining myself and letting you know that I thought, that could have been the case too. I thought that too, Peaches. So I guess I have to repent too, because I thought that too. That's right, Jonathan. Me and Peaches both repent because, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't never know. Guys, I gotta get me something to drink. Let me see what time it is. It's 1:30. All right, guys, I've been on here 90 minutes. 90 minutes. And this is pretty fun. I may have to have one night where we just do this. Just one night where we just sit and talk and we have fun. Yeah, pray because already, uh, when I know that I'm fixing to go off the air. Already, the coldness of this room, starts to set in, and the the thoughts and memories and loneliness. I can then. It's almost like a fog that's creeping across the hollow. I can sense it coming in, and I can't do nothing about it, guys. I just got to try to get to sleep and fight it. I want to say I love y'all. I appreciate you guys. Y'all been fun tonight. The slumber party was a success. All right, love y'all. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Jonathan.